welcome back to my channel. So yeah, my name is Ben Green, Essex runner. Today I'm going to be doing a video on massage, or it's kind of first aid, self-massaging and recovery tools, specifically the ones that I use. You know, I would always point out that the best form of muscle release and tension release in those muscles is to go and see a sports masseuse or a physio. And obviously they're professionals at the end of the day. All I'm going to be doing today is I'm going to give you an overview of my experience, of what I use when I can't see, my normal masseuse for my sports massage, which I like to get quite regularly. Unfortunately, COVID and obviously the implications of that have put restrictions on being able to see people for massage and therapies and stuff. So yeah, I've always been reliant on those initial first aid recovery tools. What I'm going to do is I'm kind of going to break it down. I'm going to show you the kit that I use. Specifically, I'll talk about the massage gun that I've been using for the last year. I'll also go over the other couple of tools that I use and what their best uses are. So let's get started. Straight away, I'll go into, I've got a ball, so a hard ball here, which I actually use mostly on my foot, standing up, and I roll it out. Also, it's quite good for getting into knots in the glutes. Sometimes in the calves, you can put it on a hard surface and roll over it like that. In the glutes is quite good. What I have found it useful is standing up. So standing up, putting it against a wall, and kind of, it's a bit strange. You're kind of like rolling up and down like the bear in Jungle Book, up and down like you're scratching your back, but you're actually getting in quite good places with this on the free muscles in your glutes. So this is from Decathlon. Same with this one. This is a hard roller, textured with spikes. This is quite harsh. It's good for muscle release, but you have to kind of go a bit gentle on it. Not so much body weight on this one. So if you're doing your calves, you can add a second foot to it, but because of how firm it is and the texture of it, it can be uncomfortable really. But yeah, it's still a good tool. Same with this one. This is a fortress exercise, kind of like a ball that spins, but you can rub it up and down on your muscles. This is quite good for some muscle activations, or if you've got a certain knot, you can put pressure on that. Yeah, it's a good little tool. Another tool I picked up from, I think it was a London Marathon Expo a couple of years ago, the stick, it's called. I mostly use this for my calves and my quads, and sometimes my hamstrings. It doesn't really do much with the glute because of where basically the shape of it is quite stiff. But yeah, with the calves, it's good for the outside, the exterior, the tibialis anterior, which you can get a good roll on that. You can work that up and down. Generally like to do 30 seconds or something like that on a group of muscles, and also on the back of on the calf as well. I find this a good tool really for those longer muscles rather than those smaller individual muscles. So definitely a good little tool in the arsenal. Another one, I have a softer foam roller. I actually use this for a little bit of activation before runs, or if I've been on a hard run and maybe later on in the day I can feel a bit of tension, I'll use this instead of the massage gun or the harder foam roller, just because it's not so harsh on those muscles that are actually in that recovery mode. And then the other one that I got, this is obviously what I'll kind of focus on a little bit later in the video. This is the massage gun I have. This is the AdsFit Max. I believe they do a mini version. This is quite good, comes in its nice little kit, box, charger, batteries are all interchangeable. You can get new batteries. It comes with a number of adapters. I don't know specifically what, you can kind of have a feel of it and play with them. They come off pretty easily, pull off, pop back on again. Yeah, you kind of got a bit of a flap, which is quite good for the anterior tibialis, the outside calf, so you can kind of drag that along nicely. This one more for the Achilles tendon and the muscle up there, or you can use it on your back or on the muscles that are lying down the side of your spine and stuff. I tend to like to use this one because of the shape. It kind of can get into muscles quite nicely, and I tend to not change up too much unless I've got a real pinpoint that I'm looking at that I need to really focus on. But this one seems to be the general one that I like to use and just have on it for when I use it on probably a couple of days, 2-3 days a week. So I'll get onto the why really. So, you know, your muscles best perform, in my view, when they're not fatigued and when they're in a bit of a relaxed state. So, you know, if you've got tense muscles, I mean, generally all muscles are quite tight, but, you know, as the day goes on, if you're feeling in your legs, you know, that it's not that it's delayed onset of muscle soreness, it's not DOMS. It's basically that your muscles have been through quite a lot of impact throughout, you know, the last week or so, and that they're just tense in general. So you can kind of feel that, you know, you need to release that tension to get better flow into the muscles, and you will actually perform and run better with, you know, with them in a relaxed state. So that's kind of how I see it, and I definitely feel the benefits of doing, you know, a massage with a gun, maybe a day before a long session, and then when I go into a session, I'll warm up, and that will kind of get the blood flowing again, get the muscles loosened up following the massage, and then you're fit and ready to go into a nice speedy session. So when to do it really? So first of all, you can use these tools as activation. So when you are about to go for a run, or even, you know, any other activity, sports activity, and you know you're going to use a certain muscle group, you know, it's always good to activate those muscles. So what I mean by that is to switch them on so that they're ready, the blood is flowing through them nicely, and basically that they're not cold and you're just not going straight into quite an impactful exercise. So I generally I can use them before going for a run. You often see sometimes people bring them to races. They might bring a foam roller to a race and you'll see them rolling. That's because they're just activating it rather than just go straight out and run on cold muscles, because the muscles will not have that blood flow and they won't be loose and ready to go. So I generally, for the massage gun, I do use that sometimes for activation if I've got time beforehand. I actually use it mostly on easy days when my muscles have felt tight from maybe a session the day before. And I actually tend to do my massaging with the gun in an evening before I go to bed. So say if I've got a session the next day and I've done a couple of days of easy runs, then what I'll do is I will use the gun and then I'll drink quite a bit of water, because you do dehydrate when your muscles are working to regenerate with the blood flow, etc. So that's when I tend to do it. I tend to do that to kind of release that tension, and then I can get some good recovery going during the night, and then go into a session with a bit fresh legs the next day. What I won't do is I won't go too deep with it if I'm doing that. If I really have got tight muscles and I've got a session, I might do it the day before that. If I feel they're that tense that I need to maybe spend half an hour on them. But I tend to. You can go by feel. A lot of the times, if they feel tight, I know when I need to do a massage. I know when they need to be a bit of release, and it's just about timing of when you can do that. When do I not do it? I tend not to do it after long runs and sessions, or directly after, or even just in the evening after. For me personally, I think the muscles are in that recovery mode, and really, putting them under more strain, more impact, is not going to help them repair from, you know, what they've just endured in that long run or session. So I'm kind of trying to tell people to steer clear from doing massages straight after sessions when your muscles are kind of like twitching and they're basically in that recovery mode. What they need is they need fuel, you need rehydration, and personally I feel they just need to be left alone until they're more recovered, they're in a better recovered state, and they're not repairing themselves. So obviously when we're running, we're in that state of putting them under strain, the muscles, and then leaving them to repair. So we kind of need to find a gap in there where, you know, that you're not it's not directly after an impact, but you're giving them time to repair. So try not to go too hard. And then we come on to basically how. So I'll just have a quick go and show you on the massage gun in a minute, but basically you want to do it from the bottom upwards. So what you're trying to do is you're trying to increase the blood flow and the lymph flow, what they call the lymph flow. So you have lymph nodes all over your body and especially at the top of your legs. And what you want to try and do is flush out all that unwanted waste for your muscles, and you kind of best to do it from the bottom upwards. So if you're going to start a massage, I usually start from the feet, then go on to the calves, the quads, the hamstrings, the glutes, you know, and the lower back, and just kind of focus around flushing it from the bottom upwards. And what you want to do is you can tell the difference, and this is where you need to kind of think about what you're doing with using a massage gun. Tenderness against tightness. So if you get a spot on your leg, or you get a muscle on your leg that feels tender to touch, or it's tender when you're, you know, applying pressure from one of these massage tools, leave it alone. So there's a discomfort from releasing tension from a massage, which is different from the discomfort or pain that you might endure from something that's inflamed. So if you've got a spot and it's tense and you find a knot, then, you know, by all means, go a little bit deeper with the tools that we've got and really work into that muscle and around it. But if you find a tender spot and really it's tender to touch, move on. And then maybe, you know, because the muscles are all interconnected, it would be best to focus on all the other muscle groups. Your quad, say if it's in your calf, you've got a really tender. Concentrate on maybe the anterior tibialis on the outside, if you can, maybe the soleus on the bottom, and then the quads and everywhere else. But just kind of steer away from trying to really, oh, that's really, I know it's hurting, but this definitely is helping, this definitely is helping. And you keep telling yourself that, when in fact you're probably bruising the muscle. The other point to say is what I've learned over time is that you need to do this at intervals when your body is ready for it. Don't continually beat up your muscles because you've got a new tool. Oh, this is really good. And you see good results within the first 3-4 days and you go out there and you feel fresh. This is amazing. Don't continue to massage every day because you will bruise your muscles. They are, like I say, or they're going to be in a state of either repair or they're going to be under this tension from running. So just try and time it, but don't overdo it because there's that fine line of bruising your muscles and releasing the tension on the muscles. Just be mindful that discomfort from tenderness and tightness is different, okay? So I'll just quickly go over how. So this one here is a switch on the bottom, and then you can turn it on and you can increase the intensity from the back. And what I'll do is I'll turn it off just so you can hear what I'm doing. So what I tend to do is start from, like I say, come from the bottom. So I'll go around the bottom of the foot. I'll massage each area for about 30 seconds. If I find a bit of a tight spot, I'll work on that for a little bit longer. And then I'll tend to go around the Achilles and the soleus, which the soleus is the calf muscle at the base of basically from your heel up to where your larger calf muscle is, up here. So you know, I work along the soleus, and then I tend to just work on the other side, and then I'll go into the gastrocnemius, which is the larger calf muscle. I'll the next day, like I say, I won't go heavy on this, but if I've got maybe one more day of easy running, I'll go a little bit deeper if I've got that tightness. So yeah, I'll do the gastrocnemius, I'll go along the muscle, I'll switch sides and do the same, about 30 seconds on each muscle, and then you can feel the tibialis anterior tibialis, I think it's called, so the muscle that runs along the top of the shin. So to find that, put your foot in a bit of a dorsiflexion and tense, and you can feel it, then relax. So you want to make sure you're massaging your muscles in a relaxed state. It's very important. You don't want to be tensing them because it will just end up bouncing off it and you'll bruise your muscles. So from there, I work that. I make sure that I've had a good 30 seconds on each muscle group, and then I tend to just swap sides. I won't go further up the leg on that side. I'll just swap sides and go on again. So I'll go around the foot, I'll go around the Achilles and the soleus, both sides, and then I'll do the larger calf muscle, gastrocnemius, and then what I'll do is I'll go on the quads, and I'll start again on the left. I'll go on the quads, I'll go inside, around the quad, down, up and down, to kind of remain that flushing focus. So I'll keep on going up and down, and if you do find, sometimes in my quads I'll find a bit of a tender knot or something like that, and I'll work on that. And remember, you know, this, when you potentially, if you have an ITB pain is generally caused by tightness in the surrounding muscles on the band. You've got to remember it's just a band, not a muscle, and that all it's doing is getting tighter and tighter because the muscles around it are getting more and more tense and inflamed. So you want to try and release those muscles around that ITB in order to release the pain that's potentially going across your knee where the band is so tight. So yeah, try and focus on those muscles. So again, I'll then move over and I'll go on the quads. If I've got a bit of tightness, maybe usually here is a bit of a knot, I'll go for that. I'll go a little bit longer in that, and then I'll kind of turn over, and I'll want to make sure it's relaxed. So I'll try and find, sometimes you can put the smaller ones on for your hamstrings, just to get deeper in there. So I'll go work on it like that. Again, you want to make sure that it's not tight and tense. You want to make sure it's not tight and tense. And then I'll do the same on the other leg. Make sure that it's nice and relaxed position, and I can get into those muscle groups, up and down, like I say, 30 seconds. And then I'll tend to go onto the gluteus maximus, gluteus med, and glute min. So the three groups are in your glutes. So you can start from the bottom, work it around. I'll tend to do this in a bit of a circular motion. What you can do, excuse me for the camera angle, but you can kind of lay down and you can get a better, a deeper massage, and you can move yourself around a little bit just to get comfortable and make sure that you're getting into those tight spots. Again, if it's tender, leave it alone and move on a little bit. So, and then you can switch round. Also quite good for finding those muscles that get tense in your upper back, lower back. Sometimes it's good to get someone else to help you out on these if you can. So yeah, I do tend to use this 2 or 3 times a week, and I do it by feel. So make sure you're just being mindful. That's all my kind of message is. Be mindful of how you're using this, and don't overuse it. And make sure that if it's tender, just leave it alone and come back to it. If it's tender, ice it. So the rice method: rest, ice, compress, and elevate. So that's kind of the initial first aid of injuries or any kind of inflammation is to ice it first. Don't massage it, because all you're going to do is inflame it further. So yeah, that is what I use. I have been using these this one for about a year, these ones for a good couple of years. But I went onto the massage gun last year because of lockdown. I wasn't getting those regular sports massages, which, you know, are absolutely great. I can't really promote them anymore really. They're the best forms of massage, is to get someone who knows what they're talking about, knows what they're doing, to really get into those muscle groups and flush, that waste product out and get you, running fit. So I hope you like this video. I'm going to try and do some more a little bit like this. I'm going to look at posture and form and stuff like that. So, if you like it, please give us a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, and let us know what other kind of videos that you'd like to see down below in the comments. And also, if you've got any recommended recovery tools that you can suggest to me, and obviously anybody else that's watching the video, please do that. I really do welcome that. And thanks for watching.